It was just a matter of time before I was found out. The apple may not have fallen far from the tree, but I was certainly no lawyer. A name, I had to give her a name, or the jig was up, something she could hang her hat on. It's Vice, Vice, baby. It's Vice, Vice, baby. It was just a matter of time before I was found out. The apple may not have fallen far from the tree, but I was certainly no.
Good. Is this on? It is on. Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. How are you guys doing? Sorry I'm a little late, but hey, I'm here. That's all that matters. Hope you guys are having a good Wednesday so far, slowly coming to an end, or it might be Thursday, wherever you are. If you're in the other time zone, in the east side. Let's see, we have Just Dawn, how are you doing? And Danielle, good to see ya. Janice MB, hello, hello, hello. It is another day for a Maritime Monday on a Wednesday, because that's how you roll. This one might be in two parts. It is 3 hours long. I might do the same that I did last Maritime Monday stream. Just do probably like an hour. Once I hit like around hour and a half-ish mark of the stream, I'll go to a part 2. Because it is getting quite late and I have to wake up at, well, like 3 a.m. latest. It is currently 8 p.m., so we'll see how it goes. David, how are you doing? Good to see you. Just to remind everyone how this goes, I'll be muting myself and unmuting whenever I see people coming and going. I'll also pause for super chats or cash apps, which I have pinned at the top of the chat. Also, I'll pause and unmute myself if I have any comments that I feel necessary to say. And I know I haven't been crocheting a lot. I haven't given it up yet. I'm fixing to give Libby his dinner. Nice. I have like half-eaten food right next to me, but I'll eat that after I finish the stream. But I haven't given up on my crocheting yet, so don't worry. But I'll be working on something else today. Another day of no crocheting, I know. Boo. Hey, Angela, how are you doing? Good to see ya. I'll actually be sending invites to to people for the upcoming Saturday stream, which is our second Screw It Saturday stream, which is awesome. Connor, you work with heavy equipment. You need to sleep. You need more sleep. Hey, I'll think about it, Cinderblock. Good to see ya. Equality. Hi, Connor. HM. My son's ready to sleep, so we go listen to the bedtime story now. Okay, so equality. Just a reminder. A warning to everyone that listens to bedtime stories for tonight. There'll be some animal zooming noises and all this stuff because my cat decided to have hyper time in the middle of my recording, so I didn't know my microphone was that sensitive. So yeah. Anyway, I'll be sending invites to people for this Saturday stream. I'll also be working on other stuff. So yeah, no crocheting tonight. How you doing, Island? Good to see you. And yeah, say hi to Libby for me too. Just on. It's always good to see you guys here. So, today's episode of Maritime Monday. Let me move you guys up on this screen if I can figure out how. Oop, there you go. Okay. So, this episode is going to be a heavy one. It is the Penley lifeboat disaster. Technically, the next episode was the Endurance, but I already done that. That was the first Maritime Monday stream that I did, so I'm not going to redo it. So this was the next one after that. This is the Penley lifeboat disaster. It is a heavy, heavy subject. Also, there's a special guest in here for this episode as well. He'll be in a couple minutes. Gotcha. Sweet. They talked about bands for like the first 30 minutes, so I've skipped all those so I can get as much Maritime Monday related stuff, so I won't have as much to cover on part 2. Just had a stupid amount of Star Wars, no regrets. Nice. Well, hope you enjoyed it. So, without further ado, so much happening in the maritime world since your dad passing, which wish he had his input. Yeah, it's interesting how the world works. So, here is our special guest, Mr. Steve Gosney, joined by the one and only Legal Vices. So I put myself very high up. Oh, I feel weird now. Their microphones. Looks like their microphone is on the opposite side of mine. Oh well, whatever. So, yeah, they've been talking about bands and catching up for the first 30 minutes. So I will start right here, which they talk mostly about the disaster. It is from BBC, so hopefully, well, not hopefully, maybe I'll get copyright stricken or demonetized at least. So, like I said, are you going on Saturday? Huh? Well, it's going to be my stream, so yes, I'll be on my stream Saturday, hopefully. So, like I said before, I will be sending invites for the Saturday stream to people and working on other stuff. So no whatchamacallit, crocheting. Let me move this and then let me open up a new browser so I can work without disturbing you guys, like so. Sweet. Okay. Okay. Oh, to be on. Oh well. Depends on what time, Angela, because I'll talk more about my Saturday stream at the very end. So I'll. I didn't know Danny's gonna stream on Saturday. We'll talk later. We'll talk later. Okay. Be warned for heavy subjects. This is the Penley lifeboat disaster. Let us begin. Oh, just in time. How's it going, Libby? Good to see ya. Okay, Cinderblock are saying that I'm going to be arrested. Did I? You guys can't hear this. Wow. Look at me. Jeez. I've never streamed before, you know. This is my very first time. Let me turn on some subtitles as well. You never know. Yeah. Okay, let's start this again.
So a lot of the people that are involved are well and truly still alive, because I remember 1981 quite vividly. So this isn't ancient history. These people are still around. And let's go. Tell me how the volume is. Tell me if you need to turn out the court volume. It must be, it seems like I've been streaming court proceedings for the last 2 weeks. If I need to turn up the video volume, please let me know. Super chats aren't required. There's no minimum. There's none of that. But if you do the super chats, you're guaranteed to get your comments read. Otherwise, we'll try to keep track of the chats as best we can. Let's go.
Lands End Coast Guard, loading. Lands End Coast Guard. Union Star, calling Lands End Coast Guard.
Yes, this starts on board the Union Star, a vessel in distress.
Yes, we are approximately now 8 miles east of Wolf Rock.
No subtitles, sorry.
Engines have stopped, and we are unable to get them started at the moment.
And if you're out in the middle of the ocean and your engine stops and you can't get it started in the middle of a storm, that's like the least best desirable situation.
Oh yeah, Angela, I can send her an invite too. I was actually planning on it. So, yeah.
You could possibly imagine. You're just totally at the mercy of the wind and the waves at that point.
25 years ago.
Oh, and one more thing, the rules of Maritime Monday, those of you in the chat that know the story, no spoilers, let the story unfold naturally for those that aren't familiar with it.
Cargo ship called the Union Star suffered engine failure off the coast of Cornwall. In hurricane winds and 60-foot waves, the Penley lifeboat set forth to try and rescue the ship's...
Thanks, Libby. I thought this through probably 2 minutes before I started the stream. Thanks goodness for subtitles. Those accents over radios are tough or rough, whatever it says. Yeah, radios are interesting. Like, radios are interesting. There you go. Enunciate your words, Connor. From a distance, you can barely understand what they're saying, but when you're like up close, like especially for walkie-talkies, like you can understand perfectly what they're saying. So it's very tricky to understand radios or walkie announcements.
crew. 8 men, all volunteers, made the ultimate sacrifice in one of the greatest disasters in lifeboat history.
I look back on it and I see those men on the rails and the efforts they did in the rocks, and you can't imagine the bravery of people like that.
Despite the fact it's 25 years, you know, she went out and she's still out. And there's that gap in people's lives and feelings that I think will never go away while the people are alive who experienced it.
You know, I used to long as a journalist that I would get a world exclusive. I got my wish, but it broke my heart.
Sweet Fly, how you doing? Good to see ya.
In the far south of Cornwall, just a few miles from Land's End, lies a place called Mousehole. The events that happened here 25 years ago changed this small village forever, scarring the lives of those left behind. In 1981, Mousehole was a close-knit fishing community, at the heart of which was the Penley lifeboat.
And that's how you launch lifeboats from shore. They just jump on and then they shoot you from the lighthouse. The lifeboat launching pad. They just shoot you down and then you start the engines and you take off to wherever you need to go to rescue.
Based a mile from Mousehole off Penlee Point, she was called the Solomon Brown, and she was the pride and joy of the village.
The Solomon Brown was a wooden Watson-class lifeboat. We were quite pleased with her because she'd been recently refitted, and we thought that she was the state-of-the-art boat. But it was a class of boat that was stationed all around the country.
When I was growing up, the lifeboat was a big part of the village. Mousehole was just starting to become a tourist village. It's more, there's more locals living here, and it's just something I always wanted to do. I always wanted to be in the lifeboat. So I remember I used to run it when I was a child and help them scrub it down and things like that.
I think it's cool that there's like this little lifeboat that's sort of the pride of the town.
Most of the crew were born and bred in Mousehole. Many of them were fishermen, and they were all devoted volunteers. They were led by the coxswain, Trevelyan Richards.
You're still getting the family element in lifeboat crews, fathers, sons and grandsons and that sort of thing?
Yes, we got one or two of them here in our present crew.
Where do they come from in the main? What sort of profession are they?
Well, they're mostly fishermen and they come from the same village.
So when they say lifeboat in English, they're talking about basically like what we would consider a Coast Guard vessel, right? So this isn't a lifeboat that gets shot off the ship. It's a rescue vessel from the shore.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's a land-based lifeboat.
British, man, they got a different word for everything.
Well, I mean, it's the same effect. They're basically the same, and they look very, very similar to each other. But this is sort of a powered land-based lifeboat, where I guess it's sort of like the local volunteer fire department. These guys are volunteer. They get the rescue alert. They jump on the boat and they shoot out, and they go to try to rescue whoever's there.
If they're not fishermen, they have connections with the sea. So I'm pretty lucky in a way here.
And if you need me to boost up the video volume, please let me know.
Trevelyan was a good coxswain. He was a character in his way and set in his ways. A fisherman all his life.
I think we ought to establish, right, although you are the coxswain, you've got a full-time job as a trawler skipper, haven't you?
That's right, yes. This is just a part-time job.
I think he was in the Home Guard when the war was on, but as a coxswain, he was an extremely nice man.
I think in every community, you always get a nucleus of people. They all stand above the rest in what they do because they can take any flack from anyone and they don't really care, you know.
Good to see you, Emil.
And they'll always march on what they think is true. I think Trevelyan's up in the top notch with them.
Nobody would contradict him, you know. He was the boss. He was a hell of a character as well, you know. He could be quite hard on them, or he could be really, you know, I mean, they could be pretty wild at times. They knew how to have fun.
Boosh. How you doing?
On the night of the 19th of December, 1981, Mousehole was all set for Christmas. The village had a unique way of marking the festive season.
Christmas is a big thing in Mousehole, and we have the local Christmas lights on every year, and it is a big celebration. We have a thing called Tom Bocock's Eve, which is the day before Christmas Eve. So it's the 23rd of December, when all the local fishermen and seamen get together and have a great big party, if you like. Really, it's good, and it was a big thing in Mousehole.
So yeah, again, this also happens at Christmas time, so that adds to the horror
laughing,
of it.
joking.
This is kind of the emotional setup, though. You know, they set you up for the fall.
And everyone was laughing and saying, "Cool, how'd you come to pick me out against so and so?"
That's the most sea captain maritime looking guy that's not Popeye that I've ever seen in my life. I feel unworthy to wear this hat next to him.
I don't know. You're close. You're very close.
If this only Popeye is more maritime looking guy than this guy. This guy's awesome. I love him already.
Yeah.
So, like, you know.
Whilst people were enjoying themselves, outside the weather was gradually deteriorating.
It had gone from a high wind to this extraordinarily screaming wild gale in a very, very short time. It had a sort of strange note in the wind, and I'm not making this up. It really did. It was a screaming sort of noise, which I've never heard of.
As the weather worsened, out at sea, the Union Star was struggling with engine failure.
Union Star, Falmouth Coast Guard, your position 8 miles east of Wolf Rock, is that correct, over? Yes, that is correct, and there are 8 people aboard, 8 people, I repeat. Roger, 8 persons on board. What type of vessel are you, please, Union Star? We are a coaster.
And that's just a ship that runs up and down the coast, just sort of like, like a little ferry boat type situation. And there's, like I said, there's 8 people on it. It's out in the middle. And 8 miles doesn't sound like that far. I mean, you can drive your car 8 miles, but you've got seas like this, no engines, and you're 8 miles from anything. At that point, you can't even see land. On a clear day, you'd probably be able to see land from about 7 miles.
He's a wonderful co-star, Boosh.
So these guys are in the middle of the night, no engines, in this storm, calling for help. They've got 8 people on board they need to rescue.
On duty that night to receive the calls was Colin Sturman.
Well, the Union Star told us just after 6 o'clock that he had an engine problem, which in itself is not unusual. We have ships call us with engine problems several times a week, even today. But he said that obviously the weather conditions were bad, and he was concerned that if he couldn't get his engine started, that they would be in difficulty.
Our intentions are at the moment, we want to get the main engine started, but if we cannot get the main engine started, we'll have to take everybody off and get a tug or someone to tow us in.
And I mean, just to let you know the time, the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, I did the deep dive on that 4 months ago. So if you want to watch that, go back and watch it. But as I said at that time, I'm a big baby. The song "The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald," that's one of the 4 songs that just inevitably makes me cry. It's just a terrible, sad song. And when you watch that video, when you watch the deep dive I did, there's the line in the record of the Edmund Fitzgerald that really hits hard. It says, "Does anyone know where the love of God goes when the minutes turn into hours?" Just minutes seem like hours. It seems like eternities in these situations.
The Union Star was on her maiden voyage, carrying fertilizer from Holland to Ireland.
It was one of a fleet of coasters.
Hey, how are you doing, Kiwi? Good to see you.
Built.
Oh, and John H. 2004. Good to see you too. Welcome. Welcome, everyone. For all the new people that's joining, we are learning about the Penly lifeboat disaster. It is a heavy subject, just like any other disaster, so buckle up and sit back, relax.
Built by Union Transport, who were having a very successful time. It was a good model because it was fit for...
Well, I guess I should say the actual quote. Does anyone know where the love of God goes when the waves turn the minutes to hours? And that's what's happening for these people on this ship. I mean, just minutes. Every minute must just seem like an eternity. It just must seem like hours.
Work in coastal waters. It was very low profile, and so it could go up under the bridges of the big rivers in Europe. And they built 4 of them, actually, at about £1 million apiece. The Union Star was the latest one.
The skipper of this brand new boat was Henry Morton.
Happy-go-lucky type of guy, very professional and straight down the line, really. He didn't take any messing off anybody, and he was, I don't know, a pleasant enough guy, really, I suppose. I spoke to him in the morning about 10 o'clock, and he said everything was going all right, and I asked him when he'd be round the corner. We call Land's End the corner, and he said about just after tea, and then he'd be running away with the weather towards Arklow, and he seemed quite happy. And I asked him what the weather was like, and they told me that it was southerly about force 5, but it was forecast to deteriorate during the day. And he told me that the ship was handling it quite well. It was rolling a bit.
Now, I don't want to be critical of him, but I have to be critical of him. I don't want to be, but in situations like this, there's always something you can look at. There's always something you can point to that if it had only been done differently, this wouldn't happen.
Well, and
Uh,
also what you find also in these kind of disaster situations that we deal with in hurricanes in Florida is that it's not the single failure, it's a cascading failure. So what happens is, okay, your power goes out, and then you've got the storm, and then you might
Hey, Angela, I don't have the link to the Discord. I don't have a Discord server. Because that's how I roll. Lots of stuff are in progress with my channel, but Discord link may not ever happen. But we'll see.
get a leak, and then the bilge isn't working, and then you have so you have sort of a cascading failure that you don't expect. It's like you've expected maybe one or two concentric circles around the particular failure, but you don't expect the additional ones, and that's oftentimes what leads to these kind of disasters.
and I think here the primary cause was this ship's maiden voyage. Now, when you order a ship, whether it's a small boat like that or a giant, 250,000 ton oil carrier, crude oil carrier, they'll do sea trials, which is basically they run through all the basic safety checks of the vessel, and they'll sign off and check to make sure everything is operating within parameters. But you never know what a ship is going to do on its maiden voyage. You never know if something's going to short out, if there's going to be if there's going to be a power failure, if there's going to be something wrong with the engine, if something wasn't oiled properly. Anything can go wrong on that maiden voyage. You just have to trust and hope, and to take a small craft like that out on a maiden voyage.
Stacy, how are you? Good to see you. Good evening to you.
When you know the weather is scheduled to be deteriorating through the day, is unfortunately not a wise choice. This is something you would want to do on a calm day. I get that, hey, this is my new boat. I get it today and I want to take it out. I get that. But Mother Nature does not care about you or your boat. You've got to respect Mother Nature. And Baloney Bong is a new member. Thank you, Baloney Bong. I thought you were already a member. Did you just re-up? But if not, hey, welcome aboard. I thought you were already a member. And one quick thing here. Omnistash Gaming. Hey, all legal vices. What kind of vices should I partake in for my birthday, which may or may not be today? If you enjoy spirits, have the shot of the best whiskey you can possibly afford. If you're a cigar smoker, enjoy the best possible cigar you can afford. If you just like cake, get the best, biggest.
Good to see you, Anti-Pterodactyl. Welcome in.
Most delicious cake. It's your birthday. Enjoy it. Do whatever your particular vice is. And happy birthday. Interesting. Your birthday today. It's my brother's birthday on the 19th, and my son's on the 18th, and my mother's on the 15th. I hate this time of year. My mother, she's deceased now, but her birthday's the 15th. My son is the 18th. My brother's the 19th. My sister's is December 16th. And then I have to buy presents for everybody all over again on Christmas. So I just sort of kiss my money goodbye from November. But happy birthday to you.
Speaking of maiden voyages, how about Iron Maiden and what is it? What is it? What is the epic song about the ship and the water and the albatross? What is everybody knows that song. You know that song? Iron Maiden. Come on, chat.
Steve Gosney is with Dad. He is the special guest for this episode of Maritime Monday, talking about the Penley lifeboat disaster. I don't know why I blanked out. Like, the title is like right in front of my face. I refuse Mama Fox Muppet Mafia and came here. Well, I appreciate you. Good to see you. Long time no see, too. Long time no see. So don't forget to buy Connor a present December. Ha, David. Gotcha. My birthday's in November, not December. I should have kept that a secret so you can so I could have made fun of you then. Oops. Anyway, that's out there now. And Tamara, good to see you. Hey, Jim, how you doing? I was trying to figure out who is Steve talking to. Steve is talking to everyone. Every single one of you guys. Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, the name of the song. Okay. I don't think I've heard that song before. I mean, I've heard of Iron Maiden, duh, but I'll check it out later.
Oh, I can't believe my brain is losing it.
Go by plane?
Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. Thank you, Roy.
I suddenly couldn't get sailing out of my head. You said that. All right, let's get back to the maiden voyage. I mean, if there was any problems with the engine, if there was any engine failure that was going to happen, and we don't know, maybe the engine failure happened because of the water getting into the engine through as Steve was saying, a leak somewhere, a bad seal. This is stuff you just can't know until you break the ship in. It's like you buy a car, you buy a motorcycle, anything. You break it in gently. You break it in.
Hey, Wendy, how you doing? Good to see you. This is what makes me cry. Yeah. In the beginning of this video, there was a warning of this is going to be a heavy subject. And speaking of heavy subjects, hey, Megan. Oh, wow, that sounded bad. Ooh, I take that back. Megan Fox, you're awesome. You're lovely. How's it going? Good to see you. Hopefully you enjoyed Vegas.
A little bit at a time to make sure you don't get yourself in a disastrous situation like this.
But by early evening, the situation was very different.
I know it was rude, Jim. I caught myself right after I said it. Ah, that was a bad transition if I ever heard it. God, that was a horrible one too. I'm a horrible person now. I'm horrible. That's gonna get clipped. It's gonna be shared everywhere, and then I guess I'll have to start suing people for defamation, right? That's how it goes, right, Megan? Am I doing it right?
Yeah, we're just slowly
And Flux, hello. Flux hiding, everyone take a drink.
drifting in towards the land at the moment. We're trying to start the engine, and if we get it underway and we get clear, we'll let him know. Thank you very much.
Worried how far the Union Star might be drifting, the Coast Guard sent one of their local officers to a lookout point, just along the coast from Mousel.
I got a call from Falmouth to say that there's a vessel in trouble near the Wolf, and would I start the radar up and put a radar plot on to positively identify the position. By the time I got up here and put a marker on him on the radar, he drifted some to the north.
Okay, now the radar, at the Coast Guard station here and on vessels, they have a radar system where you'll see a ship on a radar, and you can pinpoint, you can target it, and it'll stay targeted, so you can watch the movement of that vessel on the radar, and so you're just plotting the track of that particular thing. Now the things are so well advanced that you can target literally dozens of vessels at the same time. So that's what he's talking about when he's saying you can just place a marker on it on the radar, and then you can track its movements. So here they're tracking how much it's drifting as a result of the winds, and they're finding it's drifting really quickly and really far.
The Union Star was heading straight towards the treacherous coastline.
If you come ashore on this coast, you've got very little chance of getting off, and you break up quite quickly. You imagine a yacht coming ashore on any of these points, in even weather like this, and it'll go down very quickly.
In Mousel, the Penley lifeboat was put on standby. Two of the crew members waiting for the call were Nigel Brockman and his son Neil.
My dad was a second or assistant mechanic, he was known as then, and he would have been in charge of the radios and the radar and do a bit of navigating and stuff like that.
What kind of equipment do you carry, Nigel?
Well, we got radar, big master set, which is the Woodson Clipper, and the Westminster's VHF.
What range? What's your range?
Bugger me now.
Emil, do we all come to cuddle for the Vice stream before bed? Well, hey, if you guys did, then it's a sad ending for the night. So after this, hopefully I'll send you guys to a more upbeat, happier stream if anyone's streaming.
Most people knew my father. He could never be serious about anything. He was always joking around. He was like the joker in the pack. If anything stupid was happening, he'd be in the middle doing it, you know. So, and I know I've never heard anyone say a bad word about him. Never. Everyone I've
Chad, shut
ever
up.
spoke to or come up to, people I don't even know come up to me and said they knew my father, which I like. You know, they say how much they admired him and liked him.
This is England, after all.
Union Star, the number 4, that's not on, over.
A salvage tug was contacted to tow the stricken Union Star. But this would involve paying salvage costs as part of a contract called a Lloyd's Open Form. So Morton declined the offer.
Oh, I've drafted so many of those.
See, there's another mistake. You see, cascading mistakes, right? It's not just one. Maiden voyage, engine failure, decline the tow, just keeps, it's not one. You can't say this one thing. It's a cascading failure, right? I'm just guessing.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about this, but I'm foreseeing the inevitable doom.
And with the salvage companies, they don't really move until they have a contract in place determining how they're going to get paid, because salvage operations can easily run into the millions of dollars. So don't blame the tug.
Hey, Wendy Burt, don't blame the tug. What did Tug do? Tug, what did you do? I know you're not listening, but I'm gonna talk like you're listening. Good to see you, Wendy Bird. Listening while sewing a corset. I've sewn a corset once, and that was enough for me. That's all I'm gonna say. What a pain.
The tug is not the rescue boat. That's not their job to rescue people. Their job is to salvage the vessel, which is literally salvage it, to go in and just haul it in to port. That's its only job, not to play rescue people. So I don't blame the tugboat for saying,
How's it going, Mama Bear Leia? Good to see ya.
yeah, sorry, we ain't doing this.
Station calling Union Star. Union Star, Falmouth Coast Guard, over. Oh, Falmouth Coast Guard, yes, Union Star. Yes, I gather you've had a word with the skipper of the salvage tug North Holland, over. Yes, I had a word with him. All he's interested in is the money at the moment.
When he was talking to the tug captain very early on, and the tug captain said, "Shall I come out?" And he said, "Yes, come out and stand by." And so the tug captain said, "Well, will you accept Lloyd's Open Form?" And he said, "Obviously, it's a bit early to make a commitment to do that."
See, again, I mean, in retrospect, the tug operator probably felt like a bit of a dick for not going out to help save the guy, but it wasn't a life or death situation at this point. And the newly minted boat owner is like saying, "Oh, I don't think I want to get into an open-ended payment contract right at this point, because we're not in mortal danger." The Lloyd's Open Form, it's a salvage contract. It's a contract between you and the person that's going to salvage your vessel, which is just haul this useless hunk of steel or whatever back to shore. It's just a contract to do that.
But
at this point,
said, I'm interested in this also. Don't let me stop you. But the other thing is that this is another common thing in these kind of cascading disasters, is that people are not self-aware enough to know when the Rubicon has been crossed, right? So it's like, well, I'm pretty close. They don't expect the next failure. So it's like pilots that say, well, the storm's coming up, but I think I can make it. And then you commit yourself and you aren't quick enough. It's always tough. It's like calling the ambulance to the hospital. Well,
shame on you, Emil. Can you come give me a tug? Is the last transmission you wish to send?
Oh, I think it's just a little stomach a flare up. It's not really a heart attack, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
people they don't want to hassle people. They're thinking about the cost and all this, and so they don't act when they should, right? Very
Exactly.
human, very human.
Yeah, and so they refused to tug back to shore. Wow. Well, they did because they didn't think it was worth the cost. It wasn't a life or death situation. It's one of these retrospect things. Like, yeah, I guess everybody probably wishes he would have just signed the damn
How's it going, Heather? Good to see you.
paper and signed the contract to cover the costs of this salvage operation. The blame is on the salvage laws. No, not really. I mean, it's if they said this is not a salvage, this is a rescue, and they gave a mayday requiring all the vessels in the area to come and render assistance, then there would have been obligations to do that. But this is a salvage. It's like if there was a wreck at the bottom of the sea, or if there was something that was washed ashore, and they said, okay, we're done. Come and just take it away. Just haul it away from where it is. Haul it from point A to point B. But they hadn't got to that point yet. Apparently, they didn't think it was a life or death situation. So they said, yeah, we're not gonna pay this cost. We're not gonna contract for the tug to pull us in. And at some point, I guess it became too late to do that. Let's find out.
News that the lifeboat might be needed began to spread throughout Mosul.
As soon as the minor keys start getting
One of the
played,
youngest
you gotta watch
volunteers
out.
was merchant seaman Kevin Smith, who happened to be home for Christmas.
Loved the sea. The sea was in his blood. He always, to me, seemed to be like a free spirit. He'd go off to sea. You never quite know when he was coming back, and he'd
It's
come
in the
back,
minor
and it
key,
was
the saddest
like
of
a
all
breath
keys.
of fresh air blowing through the village.
D minor is the
Well,
saddest
Kevin
of all
was
keys.
my brother-in-law at the time.
Lick my love
I sailed
bump.
with Kevin many times when I was fishing. A great bloke, bit fun.
All right, this is my last class. This is going down way too easily.
And there's a massive zest for life.
Zest for life, good
6
song,
years
Iggy
earlier,
Pop.
the Solomon Brown had taken part in the rescue of a sinking ship called the Lovett.
Hey, Aunt Clara, how are you doing? Hope you're having a good night. Yeah. Good to see you. I used to tow so many school buses, and since we didn't want to pay the tow company, interesting.
Kevin was a crew member, even though he'd only been a teenager at the time.
You, I know, were on the Lovett rescue, weren't you? And that was not very pleasant. No, I was 75, I think. And you were very young. Yeah. In fact, I believe you were too young to have been there officially. So they told me so, yeah.
Kevin was very young, 15, 16. He'd actually fabricated his age to get on the boat at that point and went out on the Lovett rescue and was pulling men out of the sea that were younger than him. And he was awarded on vellum for that. Very, very brave thing to have done.
Did you enjoy it? Well, you wouldn't enjoy it. It's a damn full question, but you'll remember it, I imagine.
Oh, yeah, I always remember it, yeah.
Very unpleasant.
I always remember it.
The Penley crew had to pull several dead bodies out of the water. They were all honoured by the RNLI for their role in the rescue.
Like most of the crew, wasn't a lot of speaking going on aboard the boat. I think it was all sort of choked, you know. But I think what upset the crew most of all was when they took a youngster aboard, 16.
Yeah.
You know, I'd admit it was a bad job. Every 5 men losing lives of what we had.
Oh, I guess that's
But
him when he
the
was
youngster,
an
16,
illegally young
everything to look forward
teenager.
to, and nice stuff there to look at, no?
He looks like Mary Pippin from the movies.
It was a southerly wind, gusting up to force 11, which is hurricane force. Even the broken waves, when they hit the cliff, were some 30 foot in height.
And before anyone makes a turn it up to 11 joke for hurricanes, they have what's called a Beaufort scale. It measures like the wave heights And like Beaufort 1 is essentially calm seas, and then it goes up to like a Beaufort 9, which is really, really bad, and then Beaufort 10 is just kind of the last you want to see, and then after that, 11 is a hurricane. So he's talking about a Beaufort scale, and it's named after apparently some dude named Beaufort. And it's just like, is a 1 is waves of a certain height, 2 goes up to waves of a swell. It was like swells, then it goes to waves of a certain height, waves with white caps, waves with rolling white caps, and then it goes up to hurricane force. So they turned it up to 11 and got up to hurricane force.
Right. So I've never seen sea conditions as bad as that, and I've never seen them since.
Both? A fusion? That's the most 80s looking guy
One of the fuel
ever.
tanks is full of water. Well, at the moment we're trying to use our starboard tank, and we're hoping that one is okay.
Hey, Peachy Peaches, how you doing?
Could you give us the lights on the helicopter, please? It's just taxiing now. We should be airborne shortly. Okay, thank you very much. We'll be airborne shortly.
With water in the fuel tank, it was now impossible to restart the engines of the Union Star, and a helicopter was needed. The pilot who would communicate with
different
Morton
scale.
was Russell Smith, an American who was in England on a naval exchange program.
When we first set off, it was only about 30, 40 knots of wind, maybe a little more. Not all that bad, really.
Exactly.
But as we proceeded to the scene, the weather worsened significantly, very rapidly. And we could tell this can be a full gale very shortly.
Beaufort. Beaufort. Beaufort.
Rescue 80, yes, Union Star. Should be with you in 05 minutes, 05 minutes, okay, thank you very much. I'll have a hand flare standing by for you.
What was the movie with the big waves
Yeah.
and the helicopter rescue? The Dead Storm. What is that called? What was that name of that
Initially,
movie?
the position was given as 8 miles.
The Perfect Storm?
Perfect Storm. Actually, I have a friend of mine was a helicopter pilot who was involved in the actual incident.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, his it's actually one of my closest friends' brother-in-law, and I've talked to him multiple times about it. He says the waves were so high during that incident that they were over the helicopter blades at the peaks.
Yeah.
He had to dip down into the troughs. It's like that takes a certain amount of balls, right?
Those Coast Guard rescue helicopter pilots have just got gigantic balls.
And he was actually in the movie as an advisor, and he was actually
cool.
made some appearance in the movie, but he was one of the advisors to that movie when they were making it, because he was in the incident, actual one of the
Life of
helicopters.
Pi. Or
no,
the
it wasn't
Poseidon
Life of Pi.
Adventure.
It was
I pressed the wrong button. Heather Sparrow, I was on a cruise that was running from hurricane crazy waves. Can't imagine a small boat in this. Terrifying. Yeah, I mean, I'm first of all, I'm glad you're here. But yeah, in both situations, in a cruise and a small boat, they're both terrifying in their own ways. But yeah, I couldn't imagine actually being on scene during that time.
no.
The Perfect Storm, I guess. Wow. Yeah, those guys are crazy.
I try to get him. He'd be a great guest for you.
Oh yeah. If you could kind of arrange that would be more than awesome.
I'll see. I don't know. I've tried to get him. He's kind of flighty.
All right. Well, let's jump back into this.
East of Wolf Rock, which put her about 6 miles south of Tatadoo Lighthouse. When we identified the correct position with the helicopter from the flare, she was only about 2.5 miles off the coast, which made things significantly different from a response point of view.
With the Union Star so close to shore, the Penlee lifeboat was asked to launch.
They've got to keep it away from the rocks.
The launch crew that night were Dudley Penrose and Raymond Pomeroy. It was their job to launch the lifeboat safely.
Don't seem like 25 years ago.
No,
No. No, brave men. Brave men.
they were that. You know, the
A
one
lot of people wouldn't have gone that night, I know.
well, the first I knew that the lifeboat was wanted, I knew it was a terrible night. We all knew that. It was a terrible day in the making. The first I heard of it was the coxswain's wife, Trevelyan's mother phoned me to say that the boat was wanted. And that was about 10 to 8 in that evening.
When the maroons were heard, all the crew stopped what they were doing and rushed to the lifeboat station. One of those was 33-year-old Barry Torrey, a fisherman who was married with 2 young sons.
Barry was just crew member. I'd been on there a long, long time. Not sure how old he was when he first went, but just a teenager, I think.
See, they're volunteers. They don't get paid to put their life on the line like this.
Part of
They
his
do it for their
upbringing,
brothers and
just
fellow
always been
sailors.
at sea. We'd planned to go out, and we had a babysitter organised. Then the shout went out that they were going. Barry went and said, "I'll see you later." Then I was kind of trying to decide, well, shall I just wait here, or shall I, go out, because we were meeting some friends. So I went out with these friends, and we were only in the village. He knew where I was. And
One of the good ship tracking
just sort
websites
of
is called
waited.
marinetraffic.com. Pretty cool.
More than a dozen men responded to the call, but only 8 were needed.
Trevelyan chose the best crew he had for that job, the ones he knew could do that job, the ones he could trust, or not trust, the best hands he had, the best crewmen he had for that job.
He wanted his most experienced crew that night because it was a hellish night. Really, he knew it was going to be tough.
The RNLI is the Royal National Lifeboat
Trevelyan
Institution.
took Barry Torrey, Kevin Smith, Nigel Brockman, and the lifeboat mechanic, Stephen Madron. He also chose Charlie Greenough, the landlord of the local pub, John Blewett, and the 22-year-old Gary Wallace. The 8 were selected for their skill and experience, but none could have predicted the outcome of that terrible night.
The crew were all there, all dressed, which is really, unusual for us, because lifeboat men dress for the occasion, but everybody was dressed properly that night.
I always remember Trevelyan helping Barry Torrey with his life jacket, because Barry didn't like wearing life jackets, and he wouldn't wear one as a rule, but that night he had to put one on, and Trevelyan had it.
Nobody likes wearing life jackets, but just do it anyway. You never know. That's why you wear them for accidents.
The stern of the lifeboat. You used to always stand around the stern when they lunched, and that night Trevelyan got them all inside because it's such a bad night, with the sea and the spray breaking all right over the lifeboat after they put the mast up, because the exhaust went up the mast, and you had to put the mast up to, before you start the engines up.
At only 17, Neil was too young. But Trevelyan was also keen not to take 2 members of the same family.
I was absolutely gutted because I never went. I was upset because I wasn't asked to go, and I got to say, the boat was launched. I've never seen a piece of seamanship like that. To get that boat, people don't realize what the weather was like that night. To get that boat in the water was some piece of seamanship.
How's it going, Cole? Good to see ya. Never been on a boat during storm, but my brother was on a sailboat around 39 foot during the remnant of a hurricane. Ugh, scary. Forget that noise I got pulled into the ocean by Hurricane Andrew when I was a kid at the beach. Haven't liked the water since. Oh, jeez. That's horrifying. But glad you're here with us. The loss of a lifeboat crew would have hollowed out the local community. Oh, yeah. And it's such a small community that everyone knows everyone pretty much. So it hits even harder that way. So it's probably never been the same since. Who knows? Which is, well, it's probably most likely, but yeah, who knows?
And see, that should tell you how dangerous they thought this situation was, that the captain didn't want to take two people from the same family. So before they even he realized there was a decent probability that they weren't coming back. I mean, that's kind of that kind of sets a little bit of an eerie edge over the story.
We waited and waited and waited, well, quite a few minutes to catch the right moment to knock her off the slip. She went down the sea at the bottom of the slip, and she went down behind the next one and was gone. But when we closed the doors up that night, Raymond and myself were the last two to leave the boathouse, and the wind was whistling through the rafters, awful eerie feeling, and there was always that suspicion it wasn't going to be a very good night.
Falmouth Coast Guard, Falmouth Coast Guard, Falmouth Coast Guard. This is the friendly lifeboat. Friendly lifeboat calling Falmouth Coast Guard. Proceed, please, over. Friendly lifeboat, Falmouth Coast Guard. You're loud and clear, over. Falmouth Coast Guard, yes. We are afloat now. We've now launched and proceeding to Clifford. Over.
A 47-foot boat is about the size of a decent yacht nowadays, and as soon as they went down the slip, they were in very rough seas, and they would have been.
How are you doing, Zach? Good to see you.
Completely awash. The decks would have been awash, and even the after cabin water used to slosh around in it because of its self-draining situation. So life on board, even without going on deck, would have been quite horrendous.
You'd have breaking seas breaking over the boat. The boat would be rolling all the time, pitching forward, back, up, and down. Like being on it, like being in a washing machine, I suppose is the best way to describe it.
Just to say, I got like two 50-pound dogs under my chair, and I can't put my legs anywhere. Like, get out of here, Yoda. I'm sorry, buddy. You gotta go. I need to sit comfortably. You're killing my back. There we go. Apologies for the dog interruption.
The Solomon Brown, you had to physically drive around. You had to like work the engines, spin the wheels. It'd been very hard to control that boat.
As Trevelyan confirmed that the lifeboat had set off, the helicopter was already on the scene.
Yes, receiving loud and clear.
The ocean was very confused and getting worse. And the casualty was on scene, bouncing significantly, rolling in the sea.
Request you leave all lights on that you're able to. Yes, we've just managed to get a generator started, so we'll put some lights on for you and see how it goes. Over.
They only had their navigation lights when they first came on scene. And we were attempting to effect a rescue at that point. And then he put his anchor out and turned bow into the sea. And we asked him at that point, would he mind putting on his turn on some more lights so we could see the boat better and position ourselves better and such. Because it was black night. We couldn't see a thing and couldn't see where the boat was moving very much. And so he turned on all his floodlights. We asked the crew if they wanted to come off, and initially they were sorting
Shame
out,
on me.
trying to start the engines. And then from that point, as the weather was worsening and they were drifting toward the coast, and we were trying to get their attention that was happening fairly quickly, they then decided to remove the woman and 2 children, and that was our first surprise. There was a woman and 2 children on board.
How many people do you plan on transferring? 1 woman and 2 children, are there? Sorry, say again. 1 woman and 2 children, are there? Sorry, say again. 1 woman and 2 children. The crew will remain aboard until the last, are they? Yeah, confirm 1 woman and 2 children. Yes, that's correct.
The woman was Morton's.
And that's calm Coast Guard talk.
Sorry, what was that? 1 woman and 2 children? Just want to make sure.
Or what the hell are 2 women and what the hell's a woman and 2 children doing on that ship? Repeating it 3 times when they clearly heard it the first time. That's the what do you mean there's a woman and 2 children on that ship? How come nobody told us this before now voice?
2 children. Yes, that's correct.
The woman was Morton's wife, Dawn. The children were his stepdaughters.
Ugh.
He'd picked them up en route so that they'd be together for Christmas.
Dawn's children came over from South Africa, and they were going to stay in England. And
Emil, exactly. What the fuck? Over? Can you repeat that?
that's why the reason why the girls were on board.
I think it possibly had an effect on the thinking of the captain, certainly, because he would obviously have this emotional issue to deal with.
It's bad enough just having to look after the crew, let alone your wife and 2 young girls who have probably never been on the ship before, and probably only been a couple of days on board the ship. They may have been seasick during the passage, so it would have been very difficult. And another thing that I don't think is very well known, that Dawn was actually pregnant at the time.
I always hate when they don't have interviews with the woman.
Union Star, Rescue 80. We have a bit of sorting out on this rope before we're ready.
Bad sign.
Yeah, all understood. We'll be standing by here. Be at least another 5-6 minutes. Yep, okay, all understood. Thank you.
The wind was now freshening, probably at least 60 mile an hour, probably more. The waves at that point were about 50-foot seas, and it was getting more difficult. There were times we had to rapidly change our
Yeah, Emil, technically 3 children. You're correct.
position because the ship was coming up and higher than we expected. And there were a couple of times it came very close to our rotors of the helicopter. If that happened, it would break the rotors. We wouldn't be here. And so we had to adjust it a number of times because the ship would suddenly pitch much more violently than was expected.
Union Star, this is Rescue 80. How do you read?
That's crazy though. Just to think about the lifeboat almost hitting the rotors of the helicopter. Like the waves were that severe that it was so close to the helicopter. That's just a crazy thought to have. And even a crazier sight to see, I bet. I couldn't imagine what the crewmen of both the helicopter and the lifeboat were thinking when they saw how close they were to each other.
Rescue 80, yes, loud and clear.
tried lowering the crewmen. The ship was sideways to the waves and such, and the confused sea, and it was rolling significantly and pitching, and it was difficult getting our crewmen down.
My concentration was on the deck that I was trying to get to. I'm at this stage not in communication with the aircraft. I'm at in their hands, and they're trying to put me onto that deck. And I do recall how very clean and new the green painted deck looked. And I remember focusing on this piece of green deck, and they brought the First Lady out, and
Hey, Aaron, good to see you. This lady going to bed, but wanted to say hi. We'll have 2 replay crew, but we'll watch for a few. Hey, good to see you here. That's the Manhattan building I worked in as a doorman. Doorman, nice. 6 stories, including penthouse. Oh, wow. It's pretty decent size. But yeah, Aaron, if you do fall asleep, hope you have a good night.
one of the men was effectively holding her against the bulkhead, standing on this deck, and I was focused on the deck, and she'd got these bright pink court shoes on. I couldn't tell you anything else about her, but looking at that piece of deck where I was aiming, there's an enduring memory of these bright pink court shoes, which was so incongruous in that violent situation.
Roger, Union Stars. This is looking too difficult for Rescue 80 as far as safety is concerned. We're getting very close to your mast, and we don't have a long enough high line.
Now, when it's so bad that the Coast Guard rescue helicopter pilots can't get to you, it's a really, really bad situation. I mean, if any of you have seen shows like Deadliest Catch and whatnot, these rescue helicopter pilots will go into virtually anything.
Yeah, Island. This is the Penley lifeboat disaster. I don't know if you've caught that when I announced it the second time or not, but yeah, it's an interesting story, but also scary at the same time.
And you know, is Steve's how was the guy related to you?
Well, he's one of my closest friends.
Yeah,
it's her brother-in-law.
Okay.
I see whenever I go over, she has these great Christmas parties here, and whenever I'm hanging out, he'll show up, and I'm like, and he's such a nice guy, and so, but I love to get him talking about this story because he's, I mean, like you say, those Coast Guard pilots, what they do. I mean, he tells me stuff, and it makes my bones chill because
Yeah.
he's like blackest night, and the waves are above the rotors.
Oh, did he do this twice? I don't know. On the playlist, I think I only seen this one, but it could be a possibility. I don't know. There's lots of duplicates on his playlists. We'll see.
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these guys are stone cold brave mothers.
Well,
That's
a lot of it
literally
too
their
is
job.
youth. A lot of it's youth. You know, they're not smart enough yet to realize that they're mortal, right? You know, when you're young, you think you can do anything and conquer the world, and they do most of the time, right?
Yeah. And so if it's getting to the point where even the Coast Guard rescue guys is too dangerous for them, that is a huge sign of that it is just ridiculous weather.
What's the summary? Penley lifeboat goes into sea, bad weather, power gets cut, Coast Guard comes to help rescue people, but again, bad weather. It's hurricane. So the waves are so bad that they can't get rescued. And a lot of the crewmen were young. It's like boogie boarding on a 15-foot wave. Okay, man.
And they're on this relatively small boat with no power, no engines, nothing, heading towards the rocks.
The dreadful conditions had made a helicopter rescue too dangerous. The Union Star was less than a mile from the shore, and her fate now rested on the efforts of Trevelyan and his crew.
Union Star, Penley lifeboat, as you read, over. The Penley lifeboat, Union Star, yes, loud and clear, over. Do you want us to come alongside and take the women and children, over? Yes, please, yeah, if
Hey, Gigi, good to see you.
the helicopter's having a bit of difficulty getting to us, so if you could pop out and get the women and, the 2 children and the woman off, I'll be very much obliged, over.
It's like the old saying that women and children first, but I think it still holds now. I think you would go for women and children first, and it would make a difference. Although you're there to save any life is precious. That's what we do for a living. We save lives. If we think we can save someone, we'll save someone.
We've got 4 shackles of cable out. We've already lost 1 anchor. We've got 4 shackles of cable out trying to hold our position. Roger.
With the helicopter standing.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to hold any position with the anchor. They said they already lost 1 anchor because of the weather. You're not going to be able to stay in place with an anchor in those weather. You'd be dragging your anchor like nobody's business. This is essentially a lost ship, but nobody seems to know it at this point. I don't know if the Penlee lifeboat guys know it at this point, but I don't think the captain of the yacht has realized it yet. But when you're dragging anchor and you've got nothing to do and the helicopter can't get to you and you're heading towards rocks, it's kind of a dead ship.
Standing by, the Penlee lifeboat fought to come alongside the Union Star.
Yes, that's calling you, John. Yes, message from our coxswain that he advises you for everybody to come off. Over. Yes, we're all coming off.
When we pulled off to let the lifeboat go in, they were now pretty well into the shallows and into the very severe breaking seas. And we effectively sat and watched whilst they tried to effect that rescue.
You could see the Solomon Brown being bashed up against the side of the Union Star, and the crew standing on the rail and reaching out, trying to grab the ship, throwing lines over like the grappling hooks to try and pull themselves alongside and steady themselves.
The anchor was down and the anchor was holding it, but the anchor wasn't holding it steady.
Can we just stop it now and have a happy ending?
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. Oh, and sorry, I said it was a yacht. It's a the Union Star. It was a mini bulk carrier that's registered in Ireland.
How large is that?
The Union Star, I think they said it was like 46 foot. I mean, it's a tiny little ship.
That was the Penlee lifeboat was 46.
Was it?
Yes.
Well,
So how much is the Union Star?
We can do that here. Union Star bulk carrier. There's too many ships named Union Star now. I should have checked that beforehand, shouldn't I? It's a brand new mini bulk carrier launched only weeks before her disastrous end. I'm not seeing anything readily available. So if anyone can throw up the size of the vessel in the chat while we continue with the thing, I would appreciate it. But yeah, it was a tiny little bulk carrier that had launched from Denmark, I believe. December 11, 1981. Set sail on its maiden voyage. From Danish port. So it was going from Denmark. 121 meters. Okay, so about 300 feet.
That's a big ship.
That's a big ship. Yeah, we'll watch and see what happens here.
And because Mr. Gosney wants to have a happy ending, we'll end right here and do a part 2. Hopefully tomorrow. I'm going to aim for tomorrow. Baker would probably know if it was Danish. Probably. Who knows? Ice cream guy just came by and had dry ice. I touched for a second. Emil, hey. But yeah, it is getting late for me, so I will quickly bookmark this timestamp right here. Bloop. Okay, and I will aim for tomorrow to do the rest of the video. There is hour and a half left of the video. So, what do you want from me, cat? What? Anyway, so Saturday. This Saturday is the second Screw It Saturday stream. I have sent invites to people. I know some people might not make it because 3D live, but hey, we'll still have fun either way, you know? Before I go, I will see who's live right now so I can send you guys over. Hey, Emil, right before stealing. Wow, I read that super chat. Right before leaving is where I was trying to say. Thanks for the 2, trying to steal the crown on my way out. And David, very true. Island is the chat princess. That's why she's number 1 right now. Customization, redirect, boop. Well, hey, Camelot's on. I guess I'll be sending you over there. Bloop. There you go. All set up and ready to go. So, everyone, Saturday will be the usual $25 shots and $50 wheel spinning the wheel. So, be prepared for that. Tomorrow, I'll try and finish up this second part. There's an hour and a half left, so it'll be pretty awesome, pretty fun. But thank you all for being. I really appreciate you guys. On your way out, please hit the like and subscribe button. And if you are subscribed, please double check that you still are, because YouTube loves to unsubscribe people. But okay, Cat, you're not helping. Love you guys. Oh, hi, Cat's tail. How are you doing? Hope you have a beautiful morning, evening, night, wherever you are. Stay awesome. Stay beautiful. I love you guys. And I'll see you next time. I'm not ready. Bye-bye. Love ya.
Well, that's all for this stream, but it's been so sweet. Thanks for hanging with us. It's been a treat. We'll keep it warm, keep it real, take it slow. Catch you next time when the vibes are ready to flow. If you enjoyed the ride, give us a like, subscribe for the warmth. Come back whenever you like. Until then, take it easy. Don't rush, don't hurry. I'll be here waiting. No need to worry. Vice, baby, always by your side. Stay cozy, stay calm, let the good times ride. Peace for now, but we'll meet again. Take care, my friend. Until then.